A very warm welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This event is part of our W.Talks series, which is a series that the Women's Chapter has launched to speak to our members who are all experts in their fields and their industries around their business journeys, but also around their specialisms, so that our community and the LinkedIn community can learn more about what they do and benefit from their expertise. We are talking to two health founders today. We've got Vanessa with us, and Stella is hopefully going to be joining us later. She was running a little bit late. But Vanessa Conway is the founder of Feel Move Be. She is a body whisperer and personal trainer and specializes in working with women to feel good about their bodies again. So, Vanessa, I'm going to hand over to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for creating that.
Welcome.
It's a wonderful space. I'm really lucky and grateful to be here and to talk about, well, this is a big thing that is health. Now, obviously, as you said, I'm a body whisperer and personal trainer. It means that I tap in the wisdom of the body for my clients to help them understand better their body, understand what is holding them back into getting fit constantly on a long-term basis and not just for a specific time of the year. and I use obviously all my experience and knowledge of personal training, different kind of fitness, and to give a bigger vision of what health is, what we're going to talk about, and to give this opportunity that everyone with their body they were born with. It means that it's a unique way of being, and as you can hear, my daughter, it's also a lot of joy. Whatever the body you have, there is reason behind it, why you so choose it, and it's just a chance to give another perspective of what your body is really and what you can do with it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Vanessa. And as I promised, we'd have Stella Camber joining us as well. Stella is the founder of More Life Adventures, and she's also a personal trainer. Thanks so much for joining us, Stella. Can I give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do?
Yeah. Currently, I lead More Life Adventures, and we put on fitness workshops and fitness holidays or retreats, as we started doing, and therefore people who love to train, maybe need a chance for a more a top up of their technique, or just a little bit more education and a chance to meet new people. Perhaps they train on their own, or perhaps they sort of go in. I started running. I came from a corporate background, had a lot of movement issues and mental health issues. So became a personal trainer, and then thought I had something to offer to people, to take them away on a holiday or to give them. I met a lot of good coaches, so I wanted to employ them. So we run fitness workshops and fitness holidays.
Thank you so much. And I have to just say that I absolutely love having both of you in our community, because your approach to health, fitness, and wellness is really refreshing. It's very inclusive. And while you both do similar things, you work with clients in really different ways. And I love how complementary that is. But just also having run events with you over the last year, Vanessa, and the last couple of years, Stella, it's been really, really encouraging for me as an individual to learn more about health and fitness and this approach to our bodies, and how different it is and has been to what I thought training was. And that as I got older, that it was less and less applicable to me. And I really, both of you, congratulations on the businesses that you've built. But they are as successful as they are because of how authentic you both are and how aligned you are with your purpose to help people move more and do so as their age or regardless of their life situation or experience. So thank you very much for that. Oh, and I'm getting a call. Now let me just put my... Phone on do not disturb. Right. I'll do that while I hand over to you each for a question. So one of the things, and I think it would be really helpful to share with everyone who's listening today and those that might watch the recording of this, is what health means to you, to each of you, and whether or not that includes, health, fitness, wellness, but what does this concept of health mean for each of you? Vanessa, can I start with you?
For me, health is a state of no resistance. And when resistance comes, when challenge comes, to be able to notice it, correct, and be able to use a strategy to reduce the impact on body health, mental health, and on our purpose in main general.
Thank you. How about you, Stella?
Health for me is the ability to have a full human experience and to enjoy your life and make the most of what you've been given.
And that could not be more relevant or more true now, considering everything we've all been through. Humanity has been through over the last 2.5 years and the changes we've experienced. No one could ever have anticipated this, but I think what it's really done is brought to the fore how important our health is. And so many of us have realized that without our health, we really don't have anything. It's the cornerstone of everything, of work, of family. So I think both of you are obviously really well placed to help people reconnect with that, and to live full, fulfilling lives. So thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Now, what about fitness? I mean, what characterizes a healthy level of fitness? And how do we know if we should be doing more or maybe if we're doing too much? How do you navigate that with the respective clients that you work with? Vanessa, can I ask you to start?
Fitness for me is a bliss. It's kind of getting the wave of fun and playfulness and freedom. Sometimes pushing boundaries is having all this kind of, you want to push boundaries, you want to challenge yourself, but you want to feel like you're on the top of the world. You want to feel like it's in a whole, your whole, and you just enjoy, it's pure joy. And I think what I felt from my clients is the play is lost when we get adults. It's really kind of, if you have a problem, you have to work for it and you have to work hard. For me, it's, you might have some pain or you might have some issues to work on or getting some strength. But you should know first that you are strong. And it's just the fitness will just help you to get stronger. And you have so many ways to get stronger without breaking literally bones or or anything physiologically. Just having this ability to see the fun into it in whatever you can do, you just bring your body and your mind into it, and it's just possible on everything you can do in a fitness training, but also bringing that in your daily movements. If it's just walking to the tube or driving or getting something from the cupboards, picking up your kids, or for whatever reasons or for whatever movement, you can just feel bliss into it. And more you do kind of training, different type of training, mixing the training, more you can realize that on every day and on every term, on your own terms. So I think for me, I can see that if you feel kind of tired or you want to stay in your sofa, for example, there is a lack of boost, there is a lack of sparkle that you can get by just I would say just having a first step of activity, even just it's a walk, it will help you out to start with something. When you feel exhausted because you're training too much and you're kind of overtraining, your body is literally draining. It's painful, and it should be painful every time. It shouldn't be painful to do any kind of little movement, like taking your keys, like I hear sometimes from my clients when they push too much. Too much achy muscles, it's not good. And not having the right support from your intake, food or water or whatever, or even kind of mental support around your training. I think it's this kind of things that if you feel exhausted, if you feel that you can't rest, that's one of the signs usually of too much excitement in the body, or just that your training is too strong. But feeling like you're a bit sluggish and you can't just get up and walk, it's another sign of not taking care enough of your movement, not just a self-care, but just of your movement.
And so Stella, I mean, do you have a different approach to what a healthy level of fitness is, or how do you navigate this with your clients? Because I know some of the work that you do is slightly different to what Vanessa does in terms of strength training and working with your clients in that way. How do you explain to them what a healthy level of fitness is?
Yeah, so just by the way, I've stopped now personal training directly. So I run More Life Adventures full time. But
wow, okay. That's really good news.
Thank you. I resonate with what Vanessa is saying about how much is too much, that you can take a good thing and or take something that used to be a healthy pursuit, and then it can become too much excitement, as she said. I really like that phrase. So I guess, on one end is sickness, in the middle you have wellness, and then on the other end is fitness. So fitness, I suppose, everyone defines it differently in terms of relating to their goals. If your goal is to run 10 Spartan races a year, that could be one goal. Another goal could be, everyone has their own. Another goal could be, I just want to move and play with my child and enjoy it. I don't want to run Spartan races. It is defined. It is so personal. But I think it is a level up from wellness. It is doing, you have to do some work to get fit, I think, because it's sort of going against entropy. As we, if like Vanessa said, we sit on the sofa, nothing really, we gradually lose what we've got. So we've got to work against entropy to get fit. So there is work involved. I guess it's how much work are you putting in versus recovery time. So are you training more than you're recovering? That's where I think the line is. How much before the line you are getting fitter, after the line you're just getting sicker because you're not recovering, so you're actually getting worse. Does that help? Is that something?
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I think it's interesting. I mean, I obviously, when I formulate these questions, I think a lot about my personal experiences, and I've had all different kinds of I've had varying fitness levels over my life, and I think what you were talking about with the recovery side of even overtraining, there were times in my life where I was doing way too much because I probably wasn't eating enough, I wasn't sleeping enough, I was training very hard, and would I'd be wiped out for 2 hours. I would have to go to bed for 2 hours after a training session. That's not healthy. It's also not sustainable.
I think that's recovery. So you were recovering.
Yeah, but where I couldn't do anything else but go to bed. So and when you have a family to look after and a household to run and a business to run, you can't need to go to bed for 2 hours after you've done a training session, and it turned out I had some other things going on. I had some hormone challenges and that kind of thing, and I'm very open about that because I think it's important that we speak about these experiences and we normalize these changes in our life. And I know, Stella, that this is an area you are very passionate about. But I think that, both of you have touched on it, and that really resonates with me, is that fitness is such a personal journey, and it really does relate to what it is that how you want to move and how you want to feel fit. If it's something like running to the tube, or being able to do a Sunday walk after lunch and not be out of breath, or climb a hill and feel good at the top, rather than think, oh my God, I wish, like that was really not enjoyable. So I think for everybody it means something different, and it relates to our goals.
And it can change your life as well. You got inspired. I met someone who watched the Olympics, decided weightlifting was great, and got a coach. So it can change. You can get inspired and can decide, my journey so far has been this, and now I'm going to change it.
Yeah. And I think, again, as we move through different stages in our lives, our goals and our priorities and around how we move change. I would never have thought before I had children that it was important for me to be able to pick up my kids without worrying that I would put my back out, which was something that I went through for a period, when you do, you have this weakness. And those are things that you just don't consider, but they're really important in order to be able to live your life and not feel pain as you move, like you were speaking about earlier, Vanessa. So I suppose one of the questions, because I think we would largely be speaking to women around this topic, is what advice would you give to time-poor women around how to fit in time to train, exercise, or achieve that level of fitness that they've set for themselves? Because I know you both work with busy women. You have busy women coming to your retreat, Stella, and Vanessa, you specialize in that. What's the advice that you would give to them? Stella, can I start with you?
Okay. Time poor is self-made. You create that poverty. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a priority. If you really push it aside, one day your body is going to remind you, one day you're going to have to make time for remedial work, which I had to. And so I'm not ashamed to say, are you really time poor, or have you just created this life which is, as Vanessa said, too much excitement? You have to make time for your body, or your body will deteriorate pretty quickly. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So to answer the other question of what should women be doing, they should be doing some flexibility, some endurance, and some strength training, because you need all of those three things. All of those three things will go if you don't train them, or you'll gradually lose your flexibility. You need to get your heart working in order to, for everything else to work. And you need strength. And we all know women need to work on their strength, particularly as they age, because of osteoporosis and all that stuff. So having lived the time poor lifestyle, I don't buy it I think we create that poverty, and we need to reverse it, or find ways to reverse it. And I'm open to criticism on that, and I'm open to have a conversation.
Thank you, Stella. How about you, Vanessa? How do you motivate your clients to prioritize themselves and find time in their day to move?
Well, I'm with you for the time poor theory. I think it's we create our schedules, and as women, we tend to prioritize everyone but ourselves. And it's just because I think also the type of training we've been kind of served is also really kind of boxed a bit. So you have to do this time, it's all by time, when we forgot about the flexibility of our body, that we can have 5 minutes in the morning just for the breath, and you create at least a good connection to your energy. And then you can open the door for the strength training, for example, or for more cardio exercise. And I think we need to think out of the box of what we've learned about exercising, and even reword what training is. Because if I say exercise, it's like a diet. It's a really feeling of negativity around that, and it doesn't sparkle any excitement for a lot of people. And for my clients, I mean, I'm flexible on my hours. It can be online or it can be in person, but I have to remind them that's for them. Their work, they pay me to get to learn, not to rely on me for what is good for them. And from the moment that if you don't understand that moving, exercising, training is not essential for you, you will find any reason. You will find any reason not to do it. But the body is made for movement. It's not made for sitting. We die as sitting. That's the reality. So more you have a threat like this, maybe more you can get on and find time in your day to train or move, just move.
And Stella, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's an important point to make. I'm sorry if I sounded so harsh, because I think we created this life where we literally live sitting down, and if we can try to do some of those things that we would do sitting down, but do them while moving, take a call while moving, incorporate more movement into your day, ditch the chair. And I think we were all pretty good at that with lockdown, because it became such a necessity that people were finding quirky ways to get more movement in their day. Can you actually lift your shopping, take your shopping up the stairs, or, not drive, but start walking more? And that can be, it sounds really minimal, but people underestimate the power of walking, for example. It has to be intense to count. No, it doesn't really. You earn your intensity by doing. If you've done a ton of walking in your life, maybe you can add some intensity. But if you're not walking, but then you expect to sort of go really hard in a class, I'd say, take those quick wins where you can. Try and just ditch the chair, for example. That's what I'd start with. If you are time poor, make these small lifestyle changes. It can be a challenge for a week and see how you get on, whether it's something worth holding on to.
Yeah. Well, and this whole idea of steps, because certainly when I was younger, there wasn't around. We didn't have phones that we carried around in our pockets that measured our steps, and as much as they may not always be that accurate, for many people, it's been an awakening around how little they do in a day. That if they look at their phones and they've only done 600 steps, and so in many ways, I think there has been this awareness around the sedentary lifestyle that so many of us live. And I agree with you, Stella, that I think in lockdown we became a lot more creative around that. And hopefully that's one of lockdown's legacies, is that we will, we'll continue to, instead of thinking about, sitting at your desk and doing a call, are you going to be having a call with someone who wouldn't mind if you were actually walking and chatting to them, or walking your dog while you were chatting to them? And I mean, I know certainly for the Women's Chapter, we have our team meetings when I'm in the woods walking my dog, because it's a really good hour spent where, I can get in a good few thousand steps walking around the woods. It's good for me, but it also means we're being productive and we're still having a team meeting. It's no different to how it would have been at my desk. But I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned it, Vanessa, dieting. But if we obviously reframe that with a more positive, talking about nutrition and how to feed and nurture our bodies in terms of what we put into it. Stella, I'd like to ask you first, because I know that this is an important part of your retreats, is that you have a nutritionist that comes on board to design the menus and make sure that people are really kind of nurtured while they're there from a nutrition perspective. But how important is that for us, just for people who are living their day-to-day lives, to be aware of, these terms, nutrition, calorie deficit? How should we approach this and in a healthy way? Healthy as in mental health way.
Yeah, we don't have a nutritionist on every trip, but we've had them in the past. And my approach is, if it's from the ground grew without pesticides and it's going to rot in a few days, it's probably good to eat. If it's made in a lab and it's going to last on the shelf for 10 months, probably not a good idea. And it comes in a packaging. So I'm sure Vanessa would probably agree. I think, ultimately the body creates cells from what you're eating, from what you're feeding it. So what you're eating really matters. I'm not a nutritionist and I'm not a doctor, but your mental health, there's a lot of research that goes into what sugar does to our body and to your brain and how things are addictive and so on and create more cravings. And I think what we're trying to do in a retreat, but also in daily life, is to calm ourselves down. And I can put my head up that this is what I've tried to do all day. I try to calm myself down. And so vegetables really help, guys. Honestly, a healthy plate would contain a healthy plate on a fitness holiday that we would run would have some source of good protein, like meat or fish or beans or some bean product or eggs, and then a big load of veg that are ideally organic, and then a source of carbs, like pasta or potatoes or starchy carbs, and a little bit of fat. We try not to fry things. We try not to drench things in oil. This is sort of a plate that you could repeat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The whole idea that breakfast needs to be cereal and milk is something that cereal industry started. So the other day, and I would also like to say, I right now do not. I've had this box from Riverford farm. It's an organic box of veg and fruit, but right now I have no time to cook, so I basically ordered meal prep from a company called Lions Prep. I have no attachment to them. There are loads of them out there. I think essentially make it a priority because it is literally who you are. What you eat is your cells and your hair and your skin and everything and your mental health. So I know it sounds like a lot, but I think there's some really quick wins to make by either sort of deciding to chop some veg every day and have it ready in the fridge and adding it to every meal, or just saying, you know what, I have no time at all. I'm just going to get some meal prep delivered to my door every day. So that was my little piece on nutrition.
And Vanessa, how about you? How do you approach nutrition with your clients and with the women you work with?
For me, it's all about perception and how you are with your food, because I found quite difficult to know it. But I'm not a nutritionist, and I'm not. It's a big thing. It's a big lot of understanding a lot of things. So for me, it's too complicated. I want to keep it simple. I like my meals kind of quick and simple, and protein, vegetables, something to fill up, and something to enjoy and colorful. Because I think what we've been trapped with is the marketing about pleasure and all that. I mean, I came back from the Hampstead Heath this morning and I just see this big poster from Starbucks saying, treat yourself, and you have a little muffin and a little another kind of thing. And I was just pissed off because I said, how do you treat yourself with all this sugar? I mean, I love food. I don't love cakes. That's not my thing, but I love pain au chocolat, things like this. But I know that pain au chocolat are empty calories. So if I indulge myself, if I have one like this, I know it's because I'm French and I love having this. I had a lot of good memories about it. So I'm not feeling guilty of eating that. But when you go for treating yourself with something so sugary, you need to know why. Is that because you feel low in, in a mental way, or you feel low about yourself or in a way, and does remind you something that's, I don't know, your parents was giving you when you were sad or something? It's also this part of food that we've been trapped with. Is just have a snack and all will be good, and well, have a training and all will be good. That would be much better. Whatever the training you want to do. But I think food is becoming really complicated. And even if we knowing if it's organic or not, where does it come from, it's becoming complicated. You have to do a lot of research. So I think the meal prep meals delivered to your doors, when you know where it's come from, you have just at least one research to do, and that's it. I think this is more simple. And my advice would be, keep it simple. Don't go into big kind of cooking, because more you transform your food, less you have the right nutriments and vitamins of it. So just keep it simple and enjoy it also. Because if you don't enjoy your healthy food, I remember once I ordered a coffee. I was kind of I was quite good. I was quite peaceful. I was waiting patiently in the queue, but the guy doing my coffee was really, really stressed. And when I drank my coffee, it's just feeling his stress. It's just no, the coffee was not good. Feeling his stress. Says, no, please, not again. Give me good coffee with good vibe with.
Yeah, actually, that's.
I was just going to say, it's so refreshing to hear both of you speaking and taking this kind of very sort of, it's a basic approach. Like, it's about learning about what's good for you to put into your body and keeping it simple. I actually.
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. My WhatsApp is connected to my laptop, and that was what I forgot to close down earlier. So I had to also, it's a reminder. But yeah, just about keeping it simple. And I worked with nutritionist for quite a while, actually, especially around the kind of hormone changes that I had. And one of the things she said, because I said, I don't have time. She was like, you don't even have to cut everything before you put it on your plate. She was like, take out a raw carrot, take out whatever, pick as many colorful things as you can out of your veg drawer, put it on your plate and cut it up while you eat it. She was like, find ways to kind of make it easier for yourself to be. She said, you do not need to prep a beautiful salad. Make it on your plate while you're eating it. And just think about those kind of basic rules of, and the simple thing of, yes, if it's been on a shelf and it can survive for 10 months, do you really want to put that into your body? All of those things, I think, are things that we possibly have overlooked, and they're quite simple changes to make, where you can just make better choices. They may not always be the best choice, but it's a better choice. And then go ahead, Stella. Sorry.
Vanessa touched on one thing is ingestion and the other is digestion. So it doesn't matter if you take in the best nutrients and the best superfoods. If you're too stressed to digest them, you're not actually absorbing them. So we need to be eating in a relaxed state to absorb the nutrients from what you're actually paying, because good local organic food is not cheap. If you're eating it in a stressed state, it's money down the drain. So relax, put the phone away, have a conversation with yourself. You know what's going on, check in. If you're eating in a stressed state, it likely doesn't get absorbed.
Yeah, that's a really good insight, I think. And because both of you have touched on this side of kind of emotional eating, or how our emotions and how we're feeling affects what we're eating, but also how we're digesting it, whether or not we're enjoying it, what the experience is like, both from an aware experience and what we may not be aware of that's going on internally once we've ingested. And I think for a lot of people, even just spending a little bit of time thinking about why you eat what you eat when you eat it can be really helpful to work out whether you are someone that has a functional approach to food, where you eat it just because is nutrition for you, or if you have some emotional triggers or things going on that you may not be aware of. Are you that person that when you're stressed, you find yourself in the kitchen opening the cupboards and looking for something, and then when you catch yourself, you think, oh, what am I doing here? You're not actually hungry, but that stress reaction is making you feel like you need to put something in your mouth, and whereas some people, when they don't eat at all. So I think, this is probably a whole other conversation, and we should bring a nutritionist on to have a chat with us about this next time, to get more. Can we move on to talk about, Vanessa, I wanted to ask you about pain, because we've done some masterclasses and sessions in the past where you have had some really, really interesting insights around the pain we have in our body and why it may be there, but also what we could be consciously doing to be releasing that pain.
Well, for me, pain is just a cry from the body, usually. It's something that it's just the body telling you there is something wrong and that your flow is cut. Okay, normally we just have a flow, but when you have pain, and like a chronic pain, like it's poking you every day constantly, it's something that, yes, there is a physical thing that is holding your movement, or holding your flow of thoughts, or holding your energy, but it's usually linked to something a bit deeper. Even injuries or things like this, they don't appear, they appear proof like this because you haven't listened the signals. I have so many stupid injuries, from a broken finger in football to many ankles problem. It's linked to how you live your life or how you think you're doing also, and sometimes the best way for the universe to tell you, rethink, remove in the best way for you. You're not on your best aligned life, I would say. And the thing is, with how we see the pain in Western society, is more like the pain is the problem. And so we have to deal with the pain, any kind of symptoms. But the pain is the messenger. The problem is deeper. The problem usually is not alone. It has some kind of linked to different compensation in your body, linked to your mind, is linked to how your mind and your body are reacting to each other. And it's just the top of the iceberg. And it's about to be kind of honest with yourself. Yes, you have a physical pain. Yes, you have techniques to unlock it, but you need to be a bit ready in some way to open the door of what the pain is really. It's something to face for, and sometimes we feel a bit alone about it, and we're not used to open this door. And more you open the door, more you will feel the strength for it. And you can ask help. You don't need to do that by yourself, but more you face this problem, more you can heal it, and completely heal it. It's not something that you have to live with it, like doctors mainly will tell you if you have something chronic, is to live with it. You can live with it with a different way. I have, for example, a client who had 2 hip replacements quite early in her life. She's been 30 years over with that. And because the doctors told her, you won't have any signs if the hip kind of let go, she has this thought so strong and rooted in her body that she's not allowing herself to use her strength. And for quite a long time, she lumped, not because she was so scared of getting to walk properly. And now she's getting to walk much better because she learned how to just be, to rely on her own strength and to see how strong she is and how she did well for herself. But the pain and whatever you lived in your body, I mean, in a physical injury or in a trauma way, your body will tell you. And if you don't listen, it will shock you. That's the thing. It will just shake you until you understand there is a problem. Do something about it. Okay? And it's you can't avoid it. I mean, in a trauma way, I was sexually abused when I was 23. And I put that in a bad experience. I put it in a box of under the carpet, really dig, really, really deeply. And the problem didn't appear into my body before 5-6 years later, when I met my husband. I had boyfriends in between, but with my husband, after 3 months in each other, when I understood he was my soulmate and was the right one, my body started to completely rack out and give me feedbacks of when I was raped. And for whatever reason, I mean, it was just my body telling me, this is the time for you to heal. You can't stay like this. You have to face the problem. And I succeeded. I was really lucky. That's why he's my soulmate. He's really supportive, and he really helped me out with that. But I had something. I had a print in some way onto my body, because when I had my first C-section, because I was so strongly against this first C-section, when the doctor took my baby out, well, my baby first was not happy with that. He didn't want to. He literally climbed my stomach in. But also after that, I felt like it was a rape again. My body completely closed and stressed because it was overpowered by a male, because the surgeon was a male again. And I had to face it. And it was difficult because you have a baby to take care of. I mean, it was kind of heavy baby. So really, really difficult to manage. But the prints that you leave, they will come back every time, and even stronger, until you just allow yourself to listen. It doesn't mean that you have to relieve everything. It just means that you are able to heal from it. It just come back and come back and come back and come back because you don't want to listen, or you don't want to face what the problem is. And that's what pain is about. Pain is the messenger. Pain is just a message. It will just tell you there is a problem. But it will tell you also, the subtitle is, you can heal it. You can face it and heal it. It's not to put you down.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing that with us. I can't believe you went through that, but also that you were able to identify why your body was reacting the way that it was. I think a lot of people go through their whole lives never addressing the impact that trauma has on their bodies in a physical way. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
I think it's just important to share it, because if nobody tell this kind of, you're living the same things through your body, or your body react like this, it's because it didn't digest the trauma. And that's it will come back every time until you can do something about it.
Thank you for that. Wow. And I would encourage anyone who has been through some kind of trauma, who thinks that it has had an impact on their physical being or the way that they're moving. I think what I'm hearing from you, Vanessa, is that acknowledgement is a really important step.
It's always the first step,
of course, but obviously to seek help and to get some counseling and help find someone who can help you navigate the emotional side of what you've been through?
I think what the thing I learned the most is that from all injuries and experiences is that more you have someone that can a professional that is mind and body touch in some way or combine both, you can restore this communication, and you can restore yourself in the same time. I found kind of conventional therapy kind like a dead end, because I knew it was my body who wanted to talk, and I needed to have something that was much more open and much more my whole individual, my whole being involved, not just my mind or my body, but the whole thing together. And that's what I learned the most, is that I think we should see every people as a soul, mind, and body as partners. Usually the soul is kind of the big guide, but the mind and body as partners, and not to bring them against each other like mind. Everything is in the mind. That's not true. You have a physical body is the parts of the journey.
Thanks, Vanessa. Stella, I know we're at time, but I wanted to, if you've got the time, to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about hormone changes. I know that this is something as well, you've developed retreats around to help women in this space. And obviously in the news lately, there's been a lot of talk about perimenopause, menopause, HRT, which is really good that there is open conversation happening around something that happens to all women. But I would love you to tell us a little bit about your experience with that in terms of the people that you work with, and what advice you might be able to share around how we can embrace these changes, but also train around them, and not feel like it's the end of the road for us.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot of personal advice, and I'm not a hormone expert, but we have worked with a nutritionist who designed a retreat specifically to talk about periods and hormones and perimenopause and all those things. And I think, like you say, half the battle is just being able to discuss these things, because then we can, once they're not taboo, we can actually access solutions. But if we don't even start the dialogue, so I feel great that there is conversation out there, that it's not taboo. I have worked with, I'm constantly surrounded by female coaches and female athletes and recreational athletes. And the best advice I could give you is from someone that is definitely too young to be perimenopausal, but she is training for international competitions. And she said, if my body doesn't want to do it one day, I'll just go back to sleep, and I'll get up and train when I'm ready, because, and that was just quite refreshing. This person is training for the Olympics essentially. And if she respects her period and if she respects her cycle, I think everyone should. Hormone changes. So, I'm in perimenopause now, and I'm probably the only one in my circle of gym pals that is this old. But I've had days when I definitely cannot train at all. I've had migraines, really bad migraines. And I think I can't really advise, but I think hormones are a marker of where you are with a lot of different things, where you are stress-wise in general, not just essentially what I want to say is I went to the GP and they said that this is much more a stress problem than a physical problem. All my blood tests were fine. And because hormones are related to your stress, I was advised to basically take it easy up here and talk to a therapist and talk to my friends. So I did. And I think, this is the only thing that's changed for me. Otherwise, training has been, I do similar training now as I did 2-3 years ago. But I think I need to respect my stress levels a lot more. So I don't know if that's a thing. I also, my body temperature has random ups and downs. You're smiling, Michelle.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't have any other, distinct personal changes to share, but I am becoming a lot more sensitive to, like, the tension builds up, not just from the physical training, but also from the rest of the tension in up here. So other than that, Perimenopause Power is a book that every woman should read at this stage. Yeah.
Thank you, Stella. That's really helpful. And I know we did a specific masterclass with you around kind of training around your cycle. And I think a big takeaway from that, well, for me, was about kind of giving ourselves permission to go with our cycles. And as you said, if you don't feel great, don't force yourself, and you do more on another day when you're feeling up for it. And that we have to find this balance and flow, as you were talking about, Vanessa, the sort of energy flow, and not be so hard on ourselves. We've got a lot going on that we may not be aware of, and forcing your body into positions or to do things when you may not be feeling it at your best. Maybe that's about listening to those signals and the messages. And so that was a big takeaway for me from your masterclass. And I don't know if there's anything else sort of around women and their cycles that you'd like to share before we end off, if there's anything else there that we haven't touched on.
Well, don't be tempted by the other 50% that it lives on a 24-hour cycle. We are on a 28-day cycle. So if today is not the day to push heavy in the gym, in a week it could be the day to push heavy in the gym. So you just have to respect your ebb and flow of your cycle. It's harder to stay on top of the 28-day cycle, but there are now apps where you can track everything from how you're feeling to what your poop is like, to what your hair is like and your skin is like. So everything is trackable. I'd say, if you're not tracking, definitely track, because it will give you peace of mind that, hey, 28 days ago I felt really bad, but in a week's time I'm going to feel amazing. So I don't know if this helps, but we have to respect what our bodies are doing in that sense. The day after my period, I'm ready to crush it. So.
And was it through tracking that you realized that? Was that through sort of, tracking your energy levels and how you felt throughout the 28 days and realizing that there were these patterns that gave you that insight?
Yeah, tracking either on paper or on the app, or just keeping it in my head that, oh, actually, I feel rubbish, but the 2 days after my period, I'm literally the strongest ever throughout the month. So I motivate myself. If I can't really push one day, I'm like, it's okay, just wait 3 days. It's not, we've just been conditioned, because the world is largely run by men, or has been run by men. We're conditioned that that's the standard. So that is a cause for tension for myself and for other people, I think, as well, for other women as well, that is the standard. If you're not meeting that standard, you're failing.
Yeah.
I mean, that could just be me, but
no, I think for me, the advice that comes from that is that women need to set their own pace. We don't need to, people don't need to feel sorry for us because we have cycles, but we get to say what's right for us and when, and to set the pace and the agenda for our own bodies and our energy and how we live our lives, and to do so unapologetically.
100%. That last word, not to shout about it, but to just be okay with it and be, those are the terms and conditions that come with this body. So why would I violate them?
Well, thank you both so much for sharing so much of yourselves and your time today. I know we've touched on many, many different topics, and I appreciate that some of them are not necessarily kind of your exact expertise, but you work with people who suffer from many of the things that we've spoken about today. So I really appreciate you sharing your insights and your experience and how you work with individuals and groups on your trip, Stella, around these elements. I'm really, really grateful. It's been wonderful talking to you. And we did have a comment here where somebody said this is a really wonderful practical conversation, and how the importance of health and well-being doesn't always get the attention that it needs. And I feel through this conversation, we've touched on so many of the components of that. So thank you. If anyone would like to get in touch with Stella or Vanessa, they're both on LinkedIn, so you would be able to reach them here. Otherwise, through their respective websites, Feel Move Be or More Life Adventures. They are both remarkable women who have the most incredible holistic approach to health and wellness. It's an honor to have you in our community. So thank you so much for your time today.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, big pleasure for that. Thank you, Stella, for your insight on the hormones and cycles. I mean, that's a good reminder that, yeah, we need to celebrate more the cycles too. And
celebrate
that, yeah. And really, we are. I think we need to stop feeling that, oh, we have a period, but yeah, we have a period. That would be nice. Being different perception, and that we don't. I think it's the best way to counter a bit the white men society. It's to even put in their face, yes, we have a cycle. We are rich of that. It's not a low thing. And it doesn't put women lower than them.
Well, I'm really grateful that we had the opportunity to tackle some of the topics that need more and more airtime. And I think we are moving in the right direction with many of these things, with mental health, recovery, cycles, hormone changes, trauma, how that relates to and how it impacts our body. All of these things, we've touched on so many of these very, very important topics. So hopefully anyone who's been listening today, if any of that's resonated or it's sparked the thought in your mind that your body's telling you a message, or there's something you might need to dig a little deeper on, I hope that this has given you the impetus to do that. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon, both of you. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.